Peace, family. Peace, family. It's really good. Give y'all a minute. All right. Peace to the family. What's good with y'all? Welcome to another installment of Melanin Mondays. All right. We're going to do, I know it's sad. I know it's theoretically, but we're going to act like we're in California. It's still Monday. So Melanin Mondays, episode number 2, featuring your brother Red Pill. And I'll be joined by all of you beautiful people that are in the building tonight. And we're going to do what we did last week. We're just going to chop it up. We're going to kick it. Don't worry about the beeping in the background. I talked to my landlord. He said it's all good. So, peace, Beehive. What we talking about? Whatever you want to talk about. Hey, Letitia. All right. There's a lot of things going on in the news today. Today is Martin Luther King's birthday. MLK. Shout out to Martin Luther King. For the record, I am not one of those individuals who want to drag our great elder through the mud and for the woes of black people as if, he's the one that's making us, keeping us on the bottom of the quote unquote totem pole. I'm not putting that on MLK's shoulders. The man had a messianic force. I vowed to live out his later years because we all mature. He would definitely been more effective. The fact that they killed him in the earlier years of his life made him a messianic person, made him an icon, but then at the same time cherry-picked his message and was able to manipulate the image that he represented, and they were basically able to whitewash his image, because I'm sure many of you were privy to some of his speeches on Facebook today. And if any of you have come across his revolutionary speeches on YouTube, one of the speeches that you should go and research is the Two Americas. The Two Americas. That is a very powerful speech that he gave, where he talks about the fact that there are two Americas. You know what I mean? But the same, shout out to Cheyenne the Liberator, salute. But the two Americas that Martin Luther King was talking about are the two Americas that you find today. That nothing changed. There was nothing in his speech about the two Americas that existed to change. Now, of course, when we speak about Martin Luther King, what we have, one of the main things that people have their judgment against him is integration, right? The fact that niggas are convinced that white ice is better than quote unquote black ice, or their ice, or their hair, or their nails, or everything, their food is better than our food. You feel what I'm saying? And we've been shown. I don't think that what we see on social media, right? Like you have the video that just came out yesterday in Pittsburgh where dude was banging the sister's head in the ground, right? And one of these hoe ass niggas was in the background filming it and laughing. He didn't do it. He wasn't there for the smoke. He was there for the joke. You know what I'm saying? He was just there for the comic relief. And how is it in 2018 you niggas is about to go to Wakanda? We about to go on some Wakanda shit. Black Panther. Niggas want to dress up to look like black superheroes in Africa. But we in 2018 and we still got to convince our people that their food is not better than our food. Their ice is not colder than our ice. Our parents and our ancestors and our elders, they should have known that as well. These are the same people that were spitting on you. These are the same people that were shitting on you. These are the same people that were hanging you, quote unquote, the European Caucasoid white America, they never went through atonement for you niggas to be integrated into them. They never went through a cleansing. They never took a shower. They never been persecuted. They never had to do anything but, yo, they signed these new laws or the civil rights bill. We're going to integrate everything. They got away with everything because you never seen them come into the hood to work for you. That's not how that agreement worked. It's not like they came into Harlem and started looking for jobs on Lexington Avenue. It's not like they went into the melanated neighborhoods and started working for us. No, integration meant that we could now sit at their counter and give them our hard-earned money, and we could now date their cave Beckys. Like, that's a fucking privilege. We could now run around arm in hand. We could now be on the television. We could walk in the front door versus walk in the back door when we're gonna dance and sing for white people. That's what the fuck integration did for us. So why is it so hard? Is it gonna take Wakanda? Is it gonna take us seeing ourselves in the future or in Africa together for us to say, you know what? We don't need these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really don't need them. You think it's because they're giving you fiat, not realizing whatever job any one of you work at, you're the job. You could have did that shit on your own. You could have had your own burger spot. You mopping the floors, you could have mopped your own floors. You business administration, you could have been business administration for an African company, a company from somewhere in the South or the East Coast or the West Coast. You don't need to fucking push their agenda. You have culture. You have arts and sciences. You know what I mean? Your culture is $1 trillion culture that was born in the parks of the Bronx. What the fuck do they got to do with anything? Distribution? You niggas can't drive a truck. You rap about selling drugs and distributing birds all your life. You couldn't distribute a fucking album. It was that difficult. So why do we always bring people in? I know a lot of people, they talk about their white friends, and I get it. I understand that the white friends have the bag. They pay the bills. I told somebody the other day, when I met my son's mother, I met at the Vegas Magic Show, right? We was in Las Vegas in 2003. I had one of my peoples with me, my dude, Vinny Vegan. Shout out to Vinny. When I met her, we went to eat at the Cheesecake Factory. If Vinny wasn't there to pay the bill, I probably wouldn't have had a son. So I understand the contributions of your white friends. Okay, I get it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm not telling nobody not to have friends. I'm not telling nobody not to have people who are, you know, going to pay the bill. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say you're not supposed to be who you naturally are. We're good people. We make friends with everybody. We're the fathers and mothers of civilization. These are our children. You're not going to turn your back. You got distant cousins, then you got distant cousins. You know, the cousins that you don't really fuck with, the inbred cousins. You know what I'm saying? But then you have your cousins that are close to you. Cardi B, come over here, sit on my lap. You know what I mean? You have your little Latin cousins. Then you have your Asian, Indian cousins. Then you have your, you know what I mean? So I get it. But what I'm talking about is the idea of us doing for us and building for us without apologizing, without asking for permission, without, you know what I mean, allowing every fucking body else to come in and eat at the table while you niggas is putting your own brothers and sisters on the floor to catch the crumbs off that table. So salute to Martin Luther King. Hopefully, you know, the brothers and sisters that are out there that are woke and conscious, y'all watch some videos of the King, and he says some shit that spoke to and woke you up today, and you didn't take this day into vain. You know what I'm saying? So salute to the brother there, you know. Salute to the brother there. But self-reliance is the name of the game right now. Self-dependency, being self-made. If not you, there's somebody out there that looks like you that you could get behind. You could use your skill set and your talent to help push that person to get to a higher place. We got to get off of this crab in the barrel mentality. If you uplift somebody, that means that they're going to fucking leave you. We have these abandonment issues as if somebody makes it, you know what I mean? We feel like we didn't make it. Or if somebody makes it, we feel like that's going to threaten us making it in our journey. You dig what I'm saying? That's a sickness that we have as a people. We got to get off of that because we're not going to get anywhere if we keep thinking like that. We're pulling each other down. I used the analogy last time about the race. There's races. I know that there's only one race and it's the human race. But according to the social construct in the society that we live in, there's multiple races. My niggas, okay? There's the brown race, there's the yellow race, there's the red race, there's the white race, there's the black race. You have your Asians. Asians is going hard for Asians. You have your Indians with the red dot. Punjabi and them niggas, they going hard for the Punjabi. You have your Spanish people, who they call the brown race, the Mexicans, the Vatos and all of them, they going in for the motherfucking Vatos. They going in for the Latins. They going in for people who speak. You get amongst them and not speak a word of Spanish and see what the fuck happens to you. They're not gonna call you they brother. You're not they motherfucking your what's that? Mi gente. You ain't mi gente. You're not. They're not necessarily gonna look at you like that. So you got your white race. As you can see, they're mobilizing all around the world right now. All of those shithole comments, don't fall for the propaganda. As you see, white people are getting a fucking kick out of the whole Trump shithole thing. They're like, here, fuck these shitholes. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking at our people as if something is sweet about our people, like our people are part of this shithole struggle. When we know that Europe, I got the PDF called Dirt. It was $600 on Amazon. Yeah, I got the PDF. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can hit me on the inbox and I'll send that to y'all free of charge. We want to give out a free PDF every live stream. We can start there. So I'm reading the shit about it. It was everything that I suspected. These motherfuckers came from the most dirtiest conditions. They're quote unquote religious figures. Remember, the Romans were considered to be clean. After Rome fell, they went into their dark ages. They went into what is known as their the Catholic Church rose up. And after that, the motherfuckers pillaged into barbarity because they would not wash. They said that the dung, the sewage was so, the stench of the sewage in London was so crazy, they had motherfuckers dying. You know what I mean? Just off of the smell. Then the Black Plague hit. Then these motherfuckers was getting wiped out by the hundreds of thousands. The Black Plague was carried by fleas. The fleas used to be in the motherfucking crib like niggas got roaches in the projects right now. There are stories of priests and there's stories of popes that died when they derobed the popes, when they took the clothes off of the popes. They will have, these motherfuckers had like 10 layers of clothes on them. Fur, hair. They had, shirts that are made out of hair. They have burlap. They have wool. They have vermin inside of these shirts, my guy. I'm talking about rats. They had the lice that was in their hair was almost like cake. Remember, all they did was wash their hands in order to eat because they would eat like this. They didn't have forks back then. This was before the Moors came. They would eat with their hands. So all they were focusing on was only washing the tips of their hands. Everything else was super duper filthy. That's why when they came to the Americas, you have stories of the Arawaks and the Arawak Indians dying from what? Plagues. They were dying from contact of the germ man. The germ man is the man with the germ. They were utilizing germ warfare by just breathing on a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And you dying. These are the same people that are talking about shitholes. And keep in mind, they literally flushed the shitholes of Europe and sent all of their criminals over to America. The same thing that Castro did in Cuba when he opened up the Mariel boat ride. And you see the first scene of Scarface when they opened up the jails and they flushed the jails and they sent all of the motherfuckers to Miami. That's the same thing that happened in Europe when they came into the Americas after Columbus. They said, yo, we're emptying out all the jails, all of the dungeons, all of the galleys and whatnot, and we're sending all of our worst into the Americas to start pillaging the land. You got the nerve to call a nigga a shithole? And as a result of the pillaging that took place, the pillaging not only from these criminals, they were being backed by the friars, they were being backed by the conquistadors, they were being backed by the Jesuit armies. These armies went into all of the Caribbean islands. The Caribbean islands used to have fruits growing from the trees that were as big as this box. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the shit was like bananas, you know what I mean? Like big bushels of bananas, bushels of mango, gold in the water. The women were walking around dripping in gold. They had gold on their collar like your boy got right now. You see the gold? You know what I mean? They were dripping in gold to the point where they were just handing over buckets of gold to the Europeans like, oh, y'all, this is what y'all want? Y'all can have that. We have it in such abundance that we ain't even stressing this shit. They went into Peru and excavated all of this silver and gold out of Peru. That is responsible for taking the whole of Europe or London and the UK out of bankruptcy. The Irish potato famine and whatnot, they were able to receive food from South America that helped to heal them. But anywhere that they got Jesus right now, anywhere where they bought, because they came with the Bible in one hand and they came with the sword in the next hand. And when they left with the gold, and they left them niggas with Bibles and names like Jose Canseco, you know what I'm saying? Juan Valdez and shit like that. You know what I mean? With homosexual preachers and friars and things like that who were raping the boys, raping the women, turning them out. So anywhere that you see them statues of Jesus looking like 100 feet tall, Brazil is a fucking slum right now. That's where they Jesus is at. Peru is a slum right now. My mother went to Peru. She said she drove for 10 miles and all she smelt and all she saw was pure poverty. People eating out of the sewage, living in the sewage, little babies on the side of the road, you know what I mean? And covered in mud, covered in dirt, covered in filth, all up and down Peru. You got the Bible, you got the motherfucking Roman Catholic Church up in that bitch though. They turned that bitch into a shithole. So Peru is a shithole. And they turned it out like that. They got places in Mexico that they turned into shithole. And I'm not shooting at your country if you're from there. All I'm saying is do the research on your country. Your country has cities of gold, my niggas, my nagas. The motherfucking Mexico has cities of gold. Machu Picchu has cities of gold. They completely ripped all of that shit out of there. That's what's in the bottom of the Vatican. That's what's in the motherfucking Windsor Palace and shit like that. That's all of the shit that they pillaged when that bitch wearing that crown and she got all of them diamonds. That's what they excavated out of Kimberley in South Africa and all of these places that they pillaged. All of the coasts, all of the capes, the Gold Coast, the Pepper Coast, all of that shit. All of that shit. How dare these motherfuckers try to stun on our people? We gotta, like I said, these are teacher moments. Whenever they come sideways out of their neck, you take an opportunity to teach. You don't get emotional. You just start shooting. You know what I mean? You start shooting. I'm talking about the Vegas shooter, 50 shots a minute. You know what I mean? You just start shooting. Not just one teacher. Niggas have to line up like this is a fucking a firing squad and just start clapping at them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The Taino had PR, DR, Haiti, Cuba, even Florida. Keep in mind, there's places in Florida that was never conquered. Okay? Them niggas was coming out of the swamps. They fought 3 Seminole Wars and lost 3 Seminole Wars. Go and do your research. They showing you motherfucking Butler, The Help, Roots, all of these fake at 12 years of slaves, all of that slave porn and niggas be eating up like chitlins. But they didn't show you the fucking the Seminole Wars. They didn't show you the Geechee Gullah Wars. They closed down production on that. They forgot to give you that movie, my niggas, because you would see our people completely cutting the heads off of these motherfuckers and holding them up. Shout out to the brother Tariq Nasheed with 1804. You saw about 1804. You saw the fact that the half of America was given to them, basically given to them. The way that the price that they bought it for, the shit was given away because Napoleon's army was defeated by Haiti. So, you know, you can't stun on Haiti, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit is impossible. That takes me to the next story that I want to talk about. I put an article on my Instagram of a cover that National Geographic just put out. Okay? National Geographic, remember? They have on the cover an African holding a cave Becky, and it's talking about the revival of Europe, meaning that the immigrants, right, the same ones that they're selling in Libya, because the entry point into Europe for the African migrants is through the Mediterranean, it's through the Iberian Peninsula. They're leaving the coast of Libya. That's where the slavery is taking place. So the ones that are getting into Sweden, Norway, Israel, Spain, London, UK, these are Africans from the motherfucking Sudan with pure DNA. Okay, I'm talking about. Remember, we're talking about they're coming from Syria, Yemen, Sudan, North Africa, Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? Mali, Zimbabwe. You know what I'm saying? Where my dude Mugabe. What's that? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're coming from there. And they're going into Europe and they're witnessing what is known as, and I talked about this before, there's a medieval revival taking place. I'll get on that in a minute. But what they're showing on the magazine is these African men, Palestine as well, these African men are turning these European women out. They're going over there and laying that wood, okay? They're having the Moors in Spain, part 2. Yeah, Zimbabwe. They're going into Spain. I mean, they're having the whole thing that the Moors went through with the miscegenation, with the race mixing. They're calling what is known as the fear of the European to the black man xenophobia. Okay? We over here dealing with transphobia. They're all up and down in Europe dealing with xenophobia. What is xenophobia? Xenophobia is basically some made up shit to say, you know, these European men are upset with the wave of migrants and they're like, yo, they're taking our jobs. You know, we don't, these are the same Europeans that went in and carved up motherfucking Africa. These are the same Europeans that went and pillaged the whole world for 500 years and nobody ever chin checked these motherfuckers. These are the same Europeans that have been declaring war on all kind of indigenous people, pillaging them, raping them, plundering them, murdering them, and doing anything that they want, taking their natural resources, their diamonds, their rubber, their coltan, the lumber, the trees, you name it. The leopard head, the leopard fur, the fucking lions, they've been hunting elephant tusks, rhino tusks. I'm talking about, I could be here all day just going through a book like this of all of the things that the Europeans have stolen from the quote unquote, they call it the underdeveloped world. I call it the world that has been pillaged and robbed. It's the world of riches. It's the world of riches and resources. And they went up in that bitch and they went looting. Give me the loot. So the European white men are beginning to galvanize their forces. That's why you see the stories come out about Europe going far right. What does that translate to? Far right means they're going into basically, because there's two wings on a vulture. You have your left and you have your right. We allow the media and we allow politicians to play games with us and give us these useful idiots, or what is known as the liberal left. Then they give us the conservatives and the quote unquote neoconservative or the evangelical Christian right. That would be your racist. That would be your white supremacist. That would be, you know, Trump and them, Pence and all of them, Bannon and all of them. You know what I'm saying? That would be Theresa May, the guy who was trying to win. Remember they had the voting in France. They were trying to usher in the right wing over there with the lady going against Macron. So you have this right wing upheaval in Europe taking place. When you do the knowledge of that, right? Because Israel is kicking out the Africans. Okay, this is the definition of xenophobia. Thank you, Ayana. Shout out to Sister Ayana in the building. Fear and hatred of strangers or foreigners or of anything that is strange or foreign. Intense and irrational dislike of anything or anyone from other countries. It is inbred in their DNA. Why do I say that? Because what you're seeing take place right now, because I tried to explain, there is a medieval revival taking place. Time goes centrifugal. All of the markers are pointing to that. From the flat earth conversation, from these Africans crossing into the Iberian Peninsula in waves and invading Europe, and then commencing to do what? Usher in the Dark Ages 2.0. What is the Dark Ages 2.0? The Dark Ages 2.0 is them niggas is going over there and doing what Africans always did. They're utilizing their phallus to make a motherfucking way. They don't got nothing else probably but their hands and their dicks, okay? And they're going over there, and you already know what Becky is about. You already know. You niggas in the trailer parks know what Becky is about. So they're basically having children, bedding and wedding white women. So white men they're like, yo, their ego is not allowing this to happen because they've been through this before. This is what happened when the Moors came into Europe or came into Spain. They came into Europe via Spain. And what did they do? They did the same motherfucking thing. They started building families. They started building businesses. They started building architecture, building their neighborhoods. They had white women running behind them. They was dumping them and washing them up in the bath, putting perfume on them, trying to put lipstick on a pig. You dig what I'm saying? And what did that cause? That caused the Reconquista. That caused the Inquisition. That caused the Christian right to rise up and to come together underneath the banner of what is known as Christendom and commence to motherfucking slaughtering Africans by the millions. So now, when you see the story of Israel kicking out the Eritreans and the Sudanese out of Israel, they're giving them 90 days to hit the motherfucking road. But then they're not the only ones doing that. Poland is doing that. Germany is doing that. France, I don't know about France, but all of these Eastern European countries is going in and saying we're doing the same thing. Okay? We doing the same thing. So this is called the capitulation of the Jews and the capitulation of the Moors. This took place in 1600 when they capitulated them, meaning that they kicked them out of these countries after they lost the war. Then they began to murder them on the high seas. When you do the story about the slave in Libya, he said, look, there's ships on the Mediterranean Sea. They're intercepting our boats and taking all of us captive and then selling our body parts on the motherfucking remember, because the Israelis, he was like, it's Israel, it's America, and it's the UK. They're fronting like they're in the middle of the sea protecting something, but what they're really doing is they're working with the Coast Guard and they're working with other people to basically take these migrants and organ harvest their body parts. You know how many motherfucking Africans is coming up missing? You know how many of them are washing up in the ocean, washing up into the shores of Libya? And then the Libyans are taking those bodies and then carving them up and taking all of the organs out. So this happened before. During the capitulation of the Moors, when the Moors were on a high sea, that's when they started attacking them and sinking their ships and killing them off and doing all of these things and chasing them. That's where the pirating began. That's where the privateers and the corsairs, the age of the corsairs, the Moors basically became pirates on the sea to protect themselves because they were being attacked. They were being enslaved. They were being kidnapped. They were being sold for ransom, sold for peanuts, sold for other goods all around the world. So this is what we see taking place. Niggas is running around talking about the earth is flat. That's a medieval conversation. That's the same conversation they was having when Columbus was coming up in America. That's the same conversation they were having when these motherfuckers were having their crusades. They took Jerusalem and made that the capital of Israel. That's a medieval conversation. That is a medieval marker. That is the crusades, my niggas who study. This is all coming back around. So if you running around not knowing what the fuck is going on, not realizing what time you're living in, you gotta pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk to me about P. Diddy's new show. I don't want to hear about that shit. It has nothing to do with the fuck is going on around the world. So black women or black African women, they're also going into Europe and fucking with the white boys as well. Okay? We can't exclude that. But think about this. Do you, black man, because what if the picture on the cover of National Geographic was the other way around? What if it was black women in a white man's hand? Do you have power to kick these crackers out? Like they got power to kick the Africans out? Because they can't make all of them leave. They there to stay. They're there to stay. Like you're not going to push all of the Africans out unless you go to war against them. But if you saw your women running around chasing white men, and then you feel that your genetic survival was at stake, because that's the mentality that the European got. Like, oh, hold on. If our women are only procreating with, not, and I'm not saying that they're the only ones that are procreating, like Africans getting all the pussy. I'm not saying that. Like, there's obviously a lot of procreation going on in Europe and all around there and whatnot. I'm not saying that the Africans is just, you know, they're the only ones having children, but the cover of the National Geographic is significant. This is a anthropology magazine. They're trying to say something. They're letting the world know what the fuck is going on, that they're women who they already persecuted back then. Because remember, she was getting burned at the stake with the Moors. They was hanging white women who was giving black men pussy during the Inquisition. If remember the Me Too movement, same fucking thing. Medieval markers. The Me Too movement is simply the Inquisition heresy. It was the heresy, meaning that your neighbor could tell the soldiers, like, yo, I heard this nigga praying to Allah last night. He's not really a Christian. He's fronting. He's a converso. He's fronting like he's a Christian. He's really a Jew or a Muslim. They will come and get your ass, torture you, burn you, and then take all of your belongings, right? The Salem witch trials, exactly. The Moors were basically teaching a lot of the European women forms of Wicca, or forms of what is known as Wicca these days, or forms of, you know, simple kind of magic. Even if you was doing astrology, shout out to all of my astrologers, you know what I mean, to be reading, you know, doing readings online, Ella Samora, Conjure Queen, my brother Terrence Hicks and all of them. You niggas would be burning at the stakes back in the Inquisition. Those were the people that they were killing. The diviners, the ones who were reading your palms and whatnot. You out of here. Gypsies, you out of here. You niggas want to, you want to throw bones and shit? Okay, you getting burnt at the stake. But it was a system of snitches that formed in Europe as a result of that, where everybody was turning each other in. Me too. You know what I mean? And it was made up. It was some fake shit. It wasn't even real. So if I had an enemy who, let's say I'm in business and there's another person selling clothes and I don't want him to sell clothes, I would just I would utilize heresy on him. Yo, that nigga's a Muslim. Get him. And then they would go and get you. They would torture you and they would burn your ass. Fam, why do they try and hide the ancient pyramids? What ancient pyramids are they trying to hide? You got to be, yeah, the Templars. And it all culminated as well with the Templars. The Templars were crusading in the Orient, meaning they went into the Far East. They came back with books You know what I'm saying? They came back with mad books. This is actually my book list for my book club. We have what is known as a book club with a whole bunch. A lot of people be inboxing me. These are all titles of all of the books that we got, all upstairs. You know what I'm saying? But this is another conversation. I don't want to jump ahead of myself. But the whatchamacallit, the Templars were coming back from Jerusalem. They were coming back from Constantinople. They were coming back from Turkey, and they were coming back from they were coming back from Libya, the Algeria, the Barbary Coast, and whatnot, with information. Remember, there's no Hollywood back then. There's no the distractions are not what they are. There's no internet back then. There's only books. Books were worth everything because books had knowledge in them. Knowledge was power back then. Knowledge was akin. It was even wealthier than money. The majority of people being illiterate, you having knowledge, you being able to, you know what I'm saying, speak multiple languages, you being able to tap into your artistical, you being able to tap into sacred geometry and build things, you being able to create enhance weaponry and stuff. Like all of this stuff was all of this stuff was seen as honorable. So they were very thirsty for the knowledge back then. So when the Templars came back with all of this information, they even got put to motherfucking fire. They even got put to fire. They even got burnt at the stakes. They even got persecuted because the Catholic Church, the Holy See, I'm talking about the popes and all of them, not the Bavarian Roman Catholic Church in Germany. I'm speaking more so about the Holy See, the popes, Pope Innocents and all of these fuck niggas. You know what I mean? They were threatened. They were feeling threatened that any kind of information that was threatening their lie, threatening their white Christ, threatening their fallacies, they were destroying that. They were destroying that. You know what I'm saying? They were definitely destroying that, And they basically turned off the lights of a lot of Europe, you know what I'm saying? They set Europe back thousands of years. They set them back by destroying all of the information, the books. They had book burnings. They burnt libraries to the ground. They destroyed pillars of studying. They destroyed universities. You know what I mean? They destroyed scholars. They destroyed people who had the information in their head. They persecuted them. They did all of these things. That is the same fucking thing that they're doing right now. Do you know, talk to anybody in the military who's doing those murder campaigns in the Middle East and in Africa for Uncle Sam and ask them who the targets are. They're killing scholars. They're killing lecturers. They're killing authors. They're killing scientists. They're fucking killing all of those people over there who have the information that will threaten the quote-unquote empire and reveal certain things about the empire because they are the ones with the information to reveal. They went over there and had bombing campaigns all up and down the Middle East, Syria, Iraq, Palestine, Afghanistan, but we don't know how significant the monuments, you know what I'm saying? Sudan, they went and they created ISIS. ISIS went all up and down destroying temples, pyramids, all kind of shit. All kind of shit. This is on purpose. This is not a mistake. They hired them to do that. Yeah, ISIL. ISIL was destroying a whole bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying? That was where they got the bag. They got the bag to do that. Here's the bag. Go destroy some shit. You know what I'm saying? They had their little bombing campaigns, you know what I mean? Tearing shit the fuck up. So you'll never be able to discover it. You'll never be able to discover it. So, that's some of the things that are going on over there. So my brothers and sisters that are in the UK, my brothers and sisters that are overseas across the pond, just be very, keep in mind, just be very wary about the propaganda that's being espoused on the people, on the minds of the white fragilicists. You know what I mean? The people who are suffering from white inferiority. All right? They don't hate you because, you come from a shithole country. They hate you because you have the genetic superior sperm. They hate you because you are threatening their existence. Because if you have a child with a European woman, that's another strike against their race. They that's another, you're erasing their race with your scrotum. Okay? So it's a genetic issue. I suggest any African from the diaspora who is living abroad in UK, if you Jamaican ass, cool running ass niggas, Usain Bolt and all of y'all over in the UK, go and read Francis Cress Welsing's book. You gotta read the ISIS papers. You have to read what's that from J.A. Rogers? Nature Has No Color Line. You have to get all of these things in order to hip yourself about what the goings-ons around you, because you will get rocked to sleep. You'll think shit's sweet. You know what I mean? You will think shit is sweet. You would think shit is sweet. You said, why Norway? What about Norway? Yeah, get the ISIS papers. Supreme. I might even get her tattoo later on in life. I don't got no tattoos, but if I do start getting some, I'm going to get Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I think I just might get a sleeve of all of the elders. Sabi, Dr. Blair, Dr. Francis Cress. You feel me? Like, I'm looking for a dope artist if I would ever do that, though. You niggas ain't going to mess my shit up and have them looking like the Simpsons. Yeah, Iceman Inheritance. You got to read Iceman Inheritance. You have to, these books are easy to find. Iceman Inheritance, ISIS papers, because I was watching a video of the mother of the young boy from the H&M ad. Didn't I call that shit? I already knew what it was. When I saw the ad, I was like, nah, that nigga African and his mama is a coon. You know what I'm saying? I could just tell because I've been exposed to the coonery that the Africans be doing around white people, and that shit is disgusting. Okay? That shit is disgusting. You know what I mean? The shit that they be allowing Europeans or white people or Caucasians to say and do and get away with, that shit is almost criminal. The coonery is very fucking high on the continent. And when that shit comes across the pond. And when that shit comes up in New York. You feel me? And like I said, the conversation that we're having is not necessarily the same conversation that people that are in this bitch only for the green card, only for the visa, only for the motherfucking $5 an hour. They're not having the same conversation. They're like, yo, fuck is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? This shit is, I'm cool with this because I was getting $5 a week back in the shithole. You know what I'm saying? Back in my country. You know what I mean? Back in my shanty town. Back in wherever the fuck I came from, I was getting $5 a month. So they don't want to hear no black power. They don't want to hear the contributions of MLK. The fact that he got your ass in the airport in the first place. The fact that you wasn't necessarily able to even get on the motherfucking plane and come up in this bitch or go anywhere if not for Martin Luther King and the civil rights and the shit that they was doing and the bricks that they took to the face and the left hooks and the spitting and the dogs and the water hoses. They opened up the door for niggas to take over the airports and fly around internationally and go to Dubai and, you know, do whatever they do. They were the ones who helped usher some of that in, that part. So when you try to explain that to them, like, yo, don't come up in America trying to stun on us. Nigga, we the ticket. Like, fuck is you saying? Like, y'all wasn't coming to America in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no wave of immigration then. This shit comes on our backs. So where's the respect? Just the only respect we asking for is listen to us. Listen to what we got to say. Get on code with us. Get on the same motherfucking page, my niggas. Because we are not being judged for the fact that we come from an island or we come from the continent. No, we're being judged because of that DNA. We're being judged because genetically we're superior and they do not want that motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? They don't want their women to ride the pony. Shout out to Genuine. And it all boils down to that. That was the reason for the, not the only reason, let's keep it, it was more than just that, but that conflict that took place in Spain between the Moors and the Europeans was anchored in the womb of the white woman. It had a lot to do with that. And what did they do to pay you back? They went and took your woman. They came and invaded the continent. And what did they do? They went and invaded the continent of North America. They went and invaded the continent of Africa. They went and invaded the continent of Central America. They went and invaded the continent of Central America, South America, and they invaded the womb of your woman. They did the same thing that you did to their woman, only reverse. And they created the sex farms, and they created the plantations, and they fucked your woman, they raped your woman, they violated your woman, and they killed the men, and then the children, they gave them their names, and then they raped them. That's what the missionaries would do. That's what the friars were there for, to turn out the men, to create homosexuals out of the men, to violate and traumatize the men and the women.